Tanner Hughes was a soldier born and bred. From a very young age he was fascinated by the tales of valor and bravery that surrounded him. Raised by his grandmother, he learned the values of duty, honor, and courage early on. She was his guiding light, instilling in him the principles that would shape his future. His childhood was filled with stories of his grandfather's bravery in World War II, igniting a spark in young Tanner's heart. He would sit for hours listening to the tales of heroism and sacrifice, dreaming of one day becoming a hero himself. As Tanner grew older, his adventurous spirit led him to the United States Army, where he quickly rose through the ranks to become an Army Ranger. His dedication and hard work paid off, earning him respect and admiration from his peers. However, beneath his tough exterior, Tanner carried a profound sense of longing. Despite his accomplishments, there was an emptiness that he couldn't quite fill, a missing piece in his life that he yearned to find. Then came the news that shook him to his core. His beloved grandmother was on her deathbed. The woman who had been his rock, his mentor, was slipping away, and Tanner felt a deep sense of loss and urgency. Rushing back home, he held her frail hand as she whispered her final words. "Find your father, Tanner. Find where you belong." Those words echoed in his mind, setting him on a new path, a quest to uncover his roots and discover the family he never knew. Tanner had always known his father was absent from his life. The void left by his father's absence was a constant shadow, a lingering question mark that haunted his every thought. His grandmother had evaded his questions, her silence speaking volumes. She would often change the subject or pretend not to hear him, her eyes betraying a deep unspoken sorrow. Now, her dying wish ignited a fire in him to uncover the truth. Her final words were a plea for him to find the answers she had kept hidden for so long. Letters, photographs, and old documents became his map, painting a picture of his mother and a man he never knew, his father. Each piece of paper, each faded photograph was a clue, a fragment of a story that was his to complete. The trail led to Asheboro, a quaint town in North Carolina. It was a place that seemed frozen in time, with its charming streets and friendly faces, a stark contrast to the turmoil in Tanner's heart. With a mix of trepidation and anticipation, Tanner packed his bags, leaving behind the familiar world of combat for a journey into the unknown. The military had been his life, his identity, but now he was stepping into a new role, that of a seeker of truth. Little did he know that his arrival in Asheboro would lead him not only to his father, but also to an unexpected love and a destiny far greater than he could have imagined. The town held secrets and surprises that would change his life forever, weaving a tapestry of connections and revelations that would finally bring him peace. Asheboro was a far cry from the battlefields Tanner was used to. He rented a small cabin on the outskirts of town, a place to collect his thoughts and plan his next move. His search for his father began at the local diner, where he met Kaitlyn Cooper, a young waitress with a warm personality. Tanner found himself drawn to her spirit, her genuine warmth a soothing balm to his battle-scarred soul. Their initial conversations were brief, but with each encounter, Tanner felt an undeniable connection with Kaitlyn. Little did either of them know that their paths were destined to intertwine in ways they could never have imagined. Tanner's search for his father led him to Jasper, a recluse rumored to know everything about Asheboro. Intrigued, Tanner sought out Jasper, hoping the old man might hold a piece of the puzzle to his past. He found Jasper in a dilapidated cabin, surrounded by stacks of books and maps. Jasper was guarded at first, but Tanner's persistence chipped away at the old man's defenses. Jasper began to share stories of Tanner's parents, and the events that led to their separation. He spoke of a love cut short and a secret that haunted the town of Asheboro. Tanner, though skeptical, couldn't help but be drawn into the mystery that surrounded the old man and the elusive white deer. Jasper's story slowly revealed a clearer picture of Tanner's past. He learned of his father's passion for art and the deep love he had shared with Tanner's mother. But there were also shadows, whispers of a scandal that rocked the small town. Tanner couldn't shake the feeling that history was repeating itself as he fell for Kaitlyn. One evening, while sharing a pot of coffee with Kaitlyn, Tanner stumbled upon a collection of old photographs at the diner. One image stopped him in his tracks, his mother, her radiant smile mirroring Kaitlyn's, standing next to a young man with a paintbrush in hand, his father. It was a sign, a confirmation that he was on the right path. The more Tanner learned about his father, the more he realized the man in the stories was not the distant figure he had always imagined. Each page he turned, each photograph he examined, revealed layers of a man who had once been full of dreams and aspirations, a man who had loved deeply and passionately. He discovered his father's abandoned art studio, a testament to a talent cut short. The studio, filled with unfinished paintings and sketches, spoke of a man who had been forced to abandon his passion, leaving behind a legacy of unfulfilled potential. Amongst the dusty easels, Tanner found his father's journals filled with sketches, poems, and heartfelt entries. These journals were a window into his father's soul, revealing a man who had been both an artist and a poet, a man who had poured his heart into his work. The journals painted a picture of a man torn between his love for Tanner's mother and societal expectations. They told a story of a love that had been both beautiful and tragic, a love that had been tested by the harsh realities of the world. The entries abruptly stopped shortly before his mother left Asheboro, leaving Tanner with more questions than answers. The sudden end to the journals was a mystery, a puzzle that Tanner was determined to solve. Driven by a need to understand, Tanner continued to piece together the fragments of his parents' story. He spent countless hours researching, trying to uncover the truth behind the entries, the reasons behind his mother's departure. He learned of his grandmother's disapproval of the relationship, the societal pressures that had driven a wedge between his parents. The more he uncovered, the more he realized that his parents' love story had been a casualty of a time and place that had not been ready to accept it. As Tanner delved deeper into his family's history, he found himself drawn closer to Kaitlyn. She became his confidant, her unwavering support a source of strength in his quest for truth. They spent their days exploring Asheboro, sharing stories and finding solace in each other's company. One evening, Kaitlyn revealed that their families had been close friends until a misunderstanding drove them apart. The revelation sent shockwaves through Tanner, the pieces of the puzzle falling into place. Driven by a shared desire for truth and reconciliation, Tanner and Kaitlyn decided to approach their families. They knew it wouldn't be easy, but they were determined to honor their parents' love by healing the past. Armed with newfound knowledge, Tanner and Kaitlyn arranged a meeting with their families. It was a tense gathering, the air thick with unspoken words and years of resentment. But as they shared the stories they had uncovered, the truth of the past began to unravel. Tanner's parents' love had been pure, their bond unbreakable. However, misunderstandings and societal expectations had driven them apart. The revelation brought tears, apologies, and a long-overdue reconciliation. As the stars twinkled above them, Tanner and Kaitlyn realized their journey had led them to a deeper understanding of their own hearts. In the aftermath of the family reunion, a sense of peace settled over Asheboro. Tanner, no longer haunted by the ghosts of the past, found solace in the arms of Kaitlyn. He decided to stay in Asheboro, to build a life in the town where his story had begun. He reconnected with his extended family, embracing the legacy he had almost lost. And as he stood with Kaitlyn on the porch of their new home, he finally understood the true meaning of his grandmother's words. He had found where he belonged, not in a place but in the love of a good woman and the unbreakable bonds of family.